His father died from gun violence, and he lives by the words of Charlie Kirk. His name is Keimon Dixson.
Call me a white supremacist. What evidence do you have that I'm a racist?
I was just literally watching a video of you talking about whiteness as a whole, talking about whiteness as a concept, okay? And you were trying to explain how white privilege doesn't exist.
Correct, it doesn't.
You are a white man. How do you know?
What can a white person do that a black person can't do?
Black applicants to jobs are 50% less likely to get jobs when they have a black-sounding name.
That's not even close to being true. That's not even close to being true.
That is a literal...
In fact, it's the opposite.
I'm not going to argue your lived experience. I'm not going to... No.
See, now you have to listen to him under your rules because a black person is going to say you're wrong.
I am. He can say I'm wrong.
He was trying to say he was black too.
Come on up to the mic.
I know. I read your...
My name's Keimon Dixson. I have a really black name. Please tell me how 50% of my internships have been denied when I've worked for Senator Mike Lee, Mayor Trent Sachs, Speaker Mike Schultz.
Hold on.
I worked for a congressman, Burgess Owens. I've actually worked on his campaign. I've worked on the campaigns of John Huntsman Jr. Please tell me how my black experience and my black man has not given me... Go ahead.
So...
How does someone like Keimon become ensnared in a world that claims he's better off not existing?
I don't want to live around black people. I just don't. It would be irresponsible if I had a wife and kids to live near black people. It just would be. I don't want to be near them. They make me nervous. That's a survival instinct.
Some of you may say this is dramatic or victimizing myself, but hold that thought until the end of this video. I am heartbroken by those who believe everything my ancestors did was in vain. The majority of enslaved people worked for free, and after freedom, they competed for jobs with immigrants and poor American-born whites. They were often more skilled than the white and immigrant population, and they worked for little to nothing. As Mayor Toole of Macon, Georgia mentioned in 1931, the Negro, who is able to live so much more cheaply than a white laborer, is affording too keen a competition. No self-respecting white man can compete with them. A Negro can live in almost any sort of house, in most any alley in town, and can eat most anything placed before him. A white laborer can't do that. So you are telling me that black people were working their behinds off and that white people said, we can't work harder than that, get rid of them? And today people are saying that we don't want to work. Then they were promised jobs and better living conditions in the big city. But when they got there, the white politicians reneged on their deals. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. said they just wouldn't hire us. Let's read some of Adam Clayton Powell's words. The residents relied heavily on the buses as a means of transportation, and rolling through the streets of Harlem, there were daily reminders of the insult of job discrimination. Only positions as porters were open to Negroes, 14 out of a total workforce of 3,202, and the companies simply refused to consider hiring them as drivers and mechanics. And they were given the housing promised to us, to the immigrants. In this excerpt, Adam Clayton Powell is calling out Mayor LaGuardia, the mayor of New York, for reneging on his deal, his promise to provide housing to the Negroes. Instead, he gave it to the newly white immigrants. The problem, however, was that metropolitan life definitely intended to exclude Negroes from renting in the new facilities. Negroes and whites don't mix. If we brought them into this development, it would be to the detriment of the city, too, because it would depress the value of all surrounding properties. Adam Clayton Powell was livid. Adam Clayton Powell was disgusted by his constituents for assuming he wanted a handout.
I'm definitely proud of my blackness. I'm definitely proud to be an American, but I don't need a handout. I just want the equal opportunity.
Unlike what Keimon said, black Americans never ask for handouts. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was disgusted by his constituents for assuming he wanted a handout. When I asked the commissioner to appoint a Negro, I laid emphasis on qualification and representation. To appoint a Negro on the basis of race would mean making such an appointment regardless of qualifications. I did not, as the commissioner well knows, ask for such an appointment. It is foolish on the commissioner's part to pretend in public that I did. On the contrary, I call for an adequate representation of our vast Negro population in the higher councils of the police department. I feel that a qualified Negro commissioner could not only make a fine contribution to the solution of the minority problems, but lift the prestige of the department in the eyes of our minority citizens and give a high morale to the minority rank and file of members of the department. So he never wanted a handout, and we still don't want handouts today. So where's that coming from? Is it coming from, I don't know, a belief that Black Americans aren't capable? The literacy rates amongst Black Americans were some of the highest in the world. But these illiterate people did not want us living in proximity to them. They were bent on crushing our spirits and making sure we could not feed our families. But we are not the kind of people to give up, no matter the circumstance. Now I want to get into a little bit of who Keimon is. Keimon Mark Dixon was born to Mark Dixon and Lashana. Mark was allegedly a member of BMF. Yes, he was close to Big Meech. Maybe you've seen the show produced by 50 Cent on Stars. Keimon's father's street name was Big Blue. He was loved by the community. Mark was a really smart guy. Mark graduated from Talladega College, and he allegedly got caught up with the gang life after being introduced by Blue Da Vinci.
Who's Baby Blue? I hear a lot about Baby Blue.
That's my little bro. Rest in peace.
Okay.
Set it off. Run in your mouth. Don't say nothing crazy. Don't gang bang wrong or nothing. He going crazy. He going up. And he had his little squad of little squabblers with him. Oh, it was a fool. He carried my name. That's why he was Baby Blue.
Who is a friend to many, Drake, Snoop Dogg, to name a few. He eventually would end up in some trouble in Atlanta. He was accused of stabbing singer Bobby Brown's nephew Shane at a restaurant owned by P. Diddy by the name Justin's. The next year, he was murdered by an ex-girlfriend at the age of 28. Keimon would have been no older than 8 years old when he passed away. Keimon does not show and tell his father on any of his platforms. And I don't know why that is, and I'm not going to make any assumptions, but you can take a guess. When he was asked about his upbringing, he said this.
I think having fathers in the home, I was blessed to have a stepfather who raised me. I had a father who raised me as well, but he died when I was at a very young age, unfortunately. But I still had a father in the home, and what that instilled for me as a man today has given me the courage and the determination to know I can do anything.
So he mentioned that his biological father passed away when he was young, but he leaves out a lot of context. Thankfully, his beautiful mother, Lashana, has a podcast and she fills us in.
Right.
Then I need you to be picking up more. And they're like, wait a minute though. I'm working. I have to do my thing. And so I think that is where the conflict really becomes, where women are starting to be like, well, if I can make my own money and I can have my own stuff and I can buy my own stuff, why would I want to share the responsibility? And like you said earlier, you can run your own program. When you're single, when I just had my son, I didn't have to think about, all I had to think about was who's going to watch him while I'm working.
Right.
Outside of that, it's like, okay, and then he's with his dad or his dad's family every other weekend or whenever, and his sister was like super supportive. So she was always wanting to have him all the time. And so it was like, I had that support and so I could really just, sky could be the limit, which is why I was able to be, a 19-year-old mom, but I still graduated from college on time, And so I had that support so I could do it. So I can see how alluring that could be. But at the same time, it's like, it's very lonely.
Yeah.
It's very lonely to raise your children by yourself.
It is.
It's like, and the effect on the child. So it's like when you're thinking about a sperm donor, I mean, my first baby daddy was a woozy, but I would not want to replace him with nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I tell my son all the time, some experience with your dad is worth the drama. Right. For me, I feel like just you being able to know your dad, I never kept him away from his dad. He was off the chain, but I never kept him away from him. I made sure that they had a ongoing relationship. I don't know if you guys both know, but he was murdered.
Yeah.
And so he was taken from him very young, but he spent a lot of time with his dad. You know, they were very close, and they talked all the time. And he actually lived with him, you know, during the summers and, you know, for a little bit during kindergarten. And so they had a very good relationship. And so my son holds on to those memories, you know, so it's like him never have knowing him at all. I'm like, I couldn't imagine him never have even any, just the support of even his family.
It's irreplaceable. And when you take out the man completely, you don't get that.
You don't get that other side. Him and his aunt are so close.
But it also comes to that they were willing to.
Right.
You know, him as a man, granted of him being off the chain, he was still willing to be there and have that presence. And the same with his, you know,
with the family,
with his family as well, because, you know, unfortunately you have some men that are just like, it's not unfortunate, but us as women, you don't have the option of whether you're going to be a mom or not.
Right.
Whereas the father is just like, oh, well, you know, you pregnant.
Right.
Not me.
Right.
So I'm gonna decide whether I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna decide if I'm not gonna do it, or I'm gonna decide when I'm gonna be in and out and how or whatever. So it's just really a blessing even for him. You know, he was, even though with, like I said, him being off the chain, he was still like, no, I'm gonna still be a father.
I'm gonna still be a father.
You know,
in the way that I'm, you know, it was still the
way
same,
that I know how.
And it was still the same type of thing. And I think that the difference was the way that I handled it. I think that as women, because you are the one that's birthing the child and you are the one, a lot of times, like you said earlier, you have to be the more emotionally intelligent one and take control over that part. Where it's like, you know what, I'm not going to be petty. You know, I could be petty.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
We've all heard about the baby mama drama. And it is easy to, especially once you've had a child, for someone, you know, because it's an honor for a man to have given birth, and I don't know that they always see it like that.
Right.
But it's like, I carried your seed. I brought life into this world.
This is your legacy.
With with your blood. I'm carrying your bloodline.
Keimon had a village behind him. Like his mother said, it wasn't his stepfather, but his biological father's family that got him to where he is today. They would watch him while his mother pursued a higher education. Thank God for grandmas. Meet Keimon's grandparents, Mark Big Blue's parents. Let me be very clear. Keimon has a wonderful family that anybody would be blessed to be a part of. His grandmother, Gwen Dixson, has a degree in social work. She was born Gwendolyn Yvonne Rogers in St. Louis, Missouri, to Wesley Freeman Rogers and Maxine. By 1954, Wesley moved his family to Los Angeles, as seen by the voter registration. So why would Mr. Rogers, Keimon's great-grandfather, leave everything behind in Mississippi? Let me take you a little further back in his tree to answer that question. Wesley Freeman Rogers was born to Eugene Rogers and Sarah Kimbrough. Sarah Kimbrough was born to Amos and Ella Kimbrough. The white Kimbroughs were a prominent family in this part of Mississippi. They owned plantations and participated in the disenfranchisement of the black community after emancipation. Judge Allen Kimbrough was appointed circuit judge of the 4th District in 1903 and was also an attorney in Greenwood. The Kimbroughs were close friends with the president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, and his wife, Varina. Judge Kimbrough even served as their personal lawyer. Not only that, but Judge Kimbrough's niece was none other than Susie Southworth Beckwith, the mother to the notorious white supremacist Byron D. LeBeckwith, who murdered the civil rights leader Medgar Wiley Evers. Mr. Evers did everything right. He went to college, tried to get a law degree at University of Mississippi, but no blacks were allowed. He was a World War II veteran. He fought the D-Day battles, was an all-around outstanding black American with a beautiful Christian family. After many attempts on his life, Beckwith succeeded by shooting him through the chest with a rifle, killed by a jealous salesman who didn't go to college. Now please tell me who didn't work hard in this case. This is what Keimon's family left Mississippi for. This is cold-blooded. There's only one thing that could have saved Mr. Evers' life. Not being black. Oh, and Mr. Beckwith was never convicted by the all-white jury. He walked free. It wasn't until 1994, 31 years later, during a retrial, was he convicted to life in prison. From 1870 to 1950, it was known as the county with the second highest amount of lynchings. And white supremacists fought to keep black people away from them by ensuring their children had separate schools. This is during the early 2000s. Keimon's grandfather's family was also from the South. Reginald Dixon was born in Los Angeles to George Alex Dixon and Gladys Denton. The Dixons were something like black American royalty in Los Angeles. George's father, Reverend John H. Dixon, moved to Los Angeles from Dallas, Texas. He was a stockholder for Liberty Life Insurance, which eventually became Golden State Mutual Life Insurance. He ran restaurants in Dallas and Los Angeles, as well as other ventures. Golden State Mutual Life Insurance was founded by William Nickerson Jr. It was formed because people like Keimon's grandfather, John Dixon, were refused help by white insurance companies.
In the 1920s, most black Americans were actually banned from buying life insurance policies. Here in Los Angeles, they were deemed uninsurable. That is, until William Nickerson Jr. moved here from Texas and started what became the largest black-owned business west of the Mississippi.
Well, Grandpa founded the first insurance company for black people west of the Mississippi. That's when Golden State was.
The Nickerson name is strong in Los Angeles. Many memorials bear the name, along with the Nickerson Gardens housing development in honor of William Nickerson Jr., known to many in our area as a successful businessman who fought racial discrimination. To Regina Jones and Jackie Ryan, though, he was just Grandpa.
Always in his office here, he's always formally dressed.
He was an insurance salesman in Texas, a civil rights activist, too. That last part didn't go over well with the Ku Klux Klan.
I was told that Grandpa literally left Texas because his life had been threatened. And I was told that he had to rent a car because they would not let the black family sit in the other cars.
Nickerson was alarmed to find the same racial discrimination in his new home.
Well, in Los Angeles, you know, they were throwing black people in Potter's Field. You know, it was a very indignatious way and no respect for people. That someone had introduced you as the nicest colored girl they ever met or something.
So when people like Keimon push the narrative that black Americans are waiting for help in the form of DEI or reparations or anything else, is so far from the truth.
It was about the DEI bill that passed,
Yes,
is that right?
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that bill?
I love that bill because it says that you cannot discriminate based off personal identity characteristics. A lot of people want to say the anti-DEI bill is going to be discriminatory. Well, you can't discriminate or make any type of program or scholarship based off someone's skin color, their sexual orientation, their sexual identity, their handicappedness, their sex, their religious identification. Equity is a fallacy. Trying to create equal outcomes is a fallacy. It doesn't exist. Because if you take the same African-American male, just like myself, that went to school at Brumby Elementary School in Marietta, Georgia, and you put both of us today at 26 years old, who in the vein of society is doing better, me or this random person? And how are you going to make an equal outcome when that person didn't serve in the Marine Corps like I did? That person didn't serve due to deployments like I did. That person doesn't have post-traumatic stress like I do, right? So, thank you. And so, you can't create equal outcomes, it's impossible. But what we can do is provide an equal opportunity to succeed. And what you do with that opportunity is your choice.
We have always made the best of our circumstances, no matter how bad it got. When you say that race doesn't play a factor in the social dynamics of America, you are saying that something is innately wrong with the black American. Claiming that the reason why we are not as wealthy as our white counterparts simply due to the fact that we can't focus on the right thing.
And then if you're going to give someone a reparation check, then they actually know what to do with it. Instead of going and buying a car or going to buy some clothes or some bags, some Louis stuff, like that stuff that doesn't matter. Materialistic materials that will not benefit them in their future.
Okay. So you are telling me that this county in Mississippi, where your family is from, that these lynches that occurred as recently as 1950 did nothing to disrupt the bloodline? So ending the life of the person who's the main source of income in a household doesn't do anything. Burning down someone's business doesn't do anything. That doesn't matter. Now, don't be silly. No one is telling anybody to sit there and ruminate on the past, but we can do both. I can look towards the future while also seeking justice for my ancestors, our ancestors. But I'm not waiting for help. Oh, and by the way, Keimon, there were many people enslaved in California and many businesses all over the world that are directly and indirectly connected to American slavery.
What do you think about the state of California, a state that never had slaves, passing a bill to give reparations to people that never were slaves?
I don't think that that's appropriate, and I think also you're using taxpayer dollars to do so.
Yeah, funded by people who never owned slaves.
Who never owned slaves, right? And so I think if you want to make reparations, I guess, equitable in that view, using their language, I think then you use companies that were established in the slave trade era that benefited from the slave trade that are still in production today, make them pay those reparations.
What kind of companies would that be?
I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. That's what the logic I would have.
Yeah,
right?
I can see that.
Whatever companies benefited from slavery in the slave trade or segregation and profited off of the misery and the separations of people, those companies should be the ones to pay restitution to those people because they put them in chains or they hindered their opportunity to pursue their American dream. But I don't believe in taxpayer dollars paying. I wasn't a slave. Personally, I was not a slave. Now, my ancestors were. But why am I receiving a check on their behalf, and what am I going to do with that check?
Thank you for watching, and don't ever let someone make you feel like you're doing the wrong thing by calling injustice out.